You ever feel like the world is just trying to break you down, no matter how hard you work? That no matter what you do, someone's always there, waiting to strip you of the little bit of peace you've built? Yeah, that's how I felt when the HOA came after me. They didn't just want to take away my porch, they wanted to take away a piece of my father's legacy. But I didn't let them, and that's when things got interesting. Hey, I'm Jack. I'm 32 years old, living in a small suburban neighborhood in Texas, working as a construction guy, nothing glamorous, just hard, honest work every single day. The kind of job where you wake up at the crack of dawn, grab a cup of coffee that's way too hot, and get to it. You hear the sounds of hammers and drills as the day gets going, and the dust settles around you as you start working on another project. Every single day feels the same, grind, grind, grind. But I've got a family, a house, a little piece of land I worked hard for, and that's where things started going sideways. You see, the HOA here is the type to find a reason to fine you, no matter what. And I had this porch I'd built. It wasn't just any porch, it was the last thing my father and I built together before he passed. The smell of fresh wood, the roughness of the tools we used, those are memories I hold onto tightly. But the HOA, they didn't care. They saw a rule, and they wanted to make sure I followed it. It all started when Megan, one of the HOA reps, walked up to my door with that smug smile she always wore, holding a letter. She said, "Jack, we've given you more than enough time. You need to take down that porch." I stood there, dumbfounded. The porch was just a small extension. It wasn't blocking anything. It wasn't bothering anyone. But it was my father's. "You don't understand," I said. "This isn't just wood. It's something my dad and I worked on together." She looked at me, arms crossed, completely uninterested. "I'm sorry, Jack, but it's against the rules. You know the HOA policy. You either take it down, or we fine you." She said it so coldly, like it was nothing. Like my memories meant nothing. I could feel the rage building up inside me. I had worked hard every day of my life, only to have this woman come to my home and tell me to rip out a piece of my past. It wasn't right. But I thought, okay, let's see how far this goes. But it didn't stop there. A few weeks later, I got a letter from the HOA, threatening to fine me $1,500 if I didn't remove the porch by the end of the week. This wasn't just a minor inconvenience, it was personal. My father's memory, my time, my hard work, it was all being dismissed. I walked outside, holding the letter in my hand, feeling the weight of it in my palm. The sun was beating down on me, but I didn't even notice. I was just numb. I didn't know what to say. Megan had gone too far. This was my breaking point. And I wasn't going to take it lying down. I spent the next few days digging into the HOA's history, checking public records, and getting everything I could find on them. And then, it hit me. The land the HOA office was built on. It used to belong to my family. The property deed was sitting in the public records, and it was mine. I couldn't believe it. All these years, they'd been calling the shots in my neighborhood, and now I held the key to everything. It was time to play the game my way. I sat on my porch that evening, the wind blowing through the trees, feeling calm. The warmth of the wood beneath me reminded me of my father. I wasn't angry anymore. I was determined. It was time to confront them. The next day, I get a call from Megan. She's frantic. "Jack, look, we can work something out. You don't have to do this. Let's meet. Let's find a solution." I just listened to her for a second, then calmly said, "I'll see you at the board meeting tomorrow." I didn't say much more. It wasn't worth the effort. But I could tell she was starting to panic. She knew what was coming. By the time I showed up at the HOA meeting, Megan was already sweating. She kept sending me texts, asking me to reconsider. But I had nothing left to say to her. At the meeting, I stood up, walked to the front, and placed the deed to the HOA office on the table. I let it sit there in front of everyone. I said, "This land is mine. The very office you've been harassing me from sits on property that belongs to my family. I think it's time we have a real conversation about power and ownership." The room went silent. The board members were stunned. Megan looked like she was about to faint. The power had shifted in an instant. Everyone in the room knew she was done. The members started whispering among themselves, and the tension was thick in the air. The crowd started turning against her. And just like that, Megan lost all her credibility. The board had no choice but to vote her out of her position. It didn't end there. The HOA's reputation was shot. Homeowners who had been silent for years started coming forward, joining me in speaking out. Megan's power crumbled, and the fines stopped. People started to feel like they had a voice again. For me, it wasn't about winning. It was about standing up for what was right. I wasn't just some guy who built a porch. I was someone who wouldn't let anyone take away what mattered to me. I sat on my porch again after it all ended, the sun setting in the distance. The air was calm. I felt at peace. Like I'd found my place again. I've learned that sometimes the hardest battles are the ones that don't make noise. Sometimes, you don't need to fight with anger or rage. You just need to stand your ground, and let the truth do the rest. Have you ever stood up to someone who tried to take something from you? Share your story in the comments below. And if you like this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got more real stories coming your way, so stick around. Remember, never let anyone take away what's yours. You're stronger than they think.